Dudes, I just watched the best movie. So I also started watching shit about black powder shotguns and just decided to do this video review of the movie I watched. So there may be the occasional segue into fucking black powder pistols at some point, but most y'all probably think that's cool. So the movie was March or Die, starring Gene Hackman and a few other people that most of you probably wouldn't know. But Max von Sydow is in it, who's in Conan and Star Wars, so, you probably know him, too. It's a very well-cast movie, first off, and it is about the French Foreign Legion at the end of World War I, going back to the desert. And it's marvelous. It's like a romance novel, Western, French Foreign Legion film. It's a lot of things, man. This is a movie that, honestly, if they fucking advertised this and put this in theaters today, people would be like, holy shit, that's the coolest new movie. And Gene Hackman looks so young. Because of when it was made and what it's made about and everything else, they used practical effects for everything. And they shot within their limitations. It's a beautifully made movie. This is a movie that will hold up 50 years from now. The only bad things about it are they cast a white dude as the leader of the Arabs, but that's, welcome to Lawrence of Arabia or fucking anything else. Go Wind in the Lion. That's, I'm not a big fan of that. It's just kind of the way it was. And it stands out in this movie in particular because the person that they used wasn't very good. When you use Sean Connery, you get away with it. When you use Alec Guinness and the what was that? I just said it. Lawrence of Arabia as Prince Faisal, you can get away with that. This dude wasn't that good. But he had that whole what do they call it? Pirate of the desert look with the green eyes peeking out from under the fucking turban and shit. It was an interesting look, but it wasn't good. That was the only thing I'd criticize in the whole movie looks wise. The guns are immaculate. It's French Foreign Legion film, and Hollywood, believe it or not, has been doing those for a very long time, and long enough that they have a bunch of old French guns to use to do that with. And this was made in the mid-70s. It looks like, I don't know, a year on it. Looks like it was made somewhere in or around the time Star Wars was made. And it's beautiful. The gun part is there aren't that many French military guns from that era, and they just had a bunch of Lebels and a couple of cannons and a couple of Hotchkisses and a couple of the French 8mm service revolvers. People call those Lebel revolvers. Those aren't made that has nothing to do with their actual designation. Basically, that gun doesn't really have a good name. It's the 1892 French Ordnance revolver. It's a mouthful. Lebel revolver sounds better. A couple of the officers have those. The Arabs have a mixed match of everything, as you would expect. A lot of Mausers. I think I even saw a couple of Arabs with Mosins, which I don't know if that's... I don't know if that happened or not, but it could have been. There were a lot of Mosins sold at certain points. And, some of those Arab armies kind of ended up with whatever was left over. There's several things in the movie we could talk about. There's a romance between, a jewel thief who gets mixed in with the recruits for the French Foreign Legion. There's a part where they're all, at a train station or whatever, and there's a bunch of German prisoners that a French Foreign Legion officer's talking to and, mixing them into the fucking French Foreign Legion guys if they want to go. And at the same time, this jewel thief is being escorted by, a French marshal or whatever. And he gets stopped by two French Foreign Legion, NCOs, and goes, What's all this about? No, don't you know him? He's the notorious jewel thief. Like, oh, he's not a jewel thief. That's a legionnaire. There's a guy who put his arm around his shoulder. Aren't you, pal? He's like, yes, I am a legionnaire. And like that's the thing that I like about the Legionnaires is that they are really a band of pirates. They will take anyone, and if they could think they might be able to help you out by making you one of them, they might just do that. And that's kind of what they showed there on that fucking like train scene. Like he didn't go to Marseille. He never even got a number or anything. He just got shanghaied to the French Foreign Legion rather than going to prison. I love the scene where they're offering it to the fucking German POWs. Do you want to go back to Germany or do you want to go to North Africa? You know, looks like things will be pretty bad in Germany. There's a Russian that's in it throughout. That's pretty cool too. There's several of these characters where they really develop their like backstories or whatever. Like they show you like this little squad of dudes as they go through this thing. Like this is a recruiting tool for the French Foreign Legion in a lot of ways. And there's like a little romantic English kid with them that dies. Oh, sorry, not to spoil that. But that there's a part of that that's great though, because like when the little English kid dies, our hero, the jewel thief, fucking, they're all watching this guy like taunt the dead English kid's body, and they're watching it and they're watching it, and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on, and all of a sudden just a shot rings out and that dude's head explodes, and Gene Hackman like backs off on a horse and looks at his men and goes right up to that guy and like stares him down and then walks back out on the horse. And earlier, the Berber dude had said, one of my men had become restless and killed him. So then Gene Hackman rides up to where he was before talking to them and goes, I'm sorry, one of my men became restless. And then, like, cues or signals something to, like, a trumpeter, and they all start fucking, you know, playing music and singing some French song and marching home. Like, there's a lot of, like, when that shot takes place, like, the world fucking stops. And, like, all the rifles get loaded. It's great. Just go watch this movie. If you like any of the other movies I've ever recommended to you, this belongs in your case with Red Dawn and The Wind and the Lion and many others. I'm going to try to find more of these French Foreign Legion movies because I think they're kind of buried and there might be some more free ones on YouTube. I know there's a bunch of these that I have never seen, and this is fucking proof of it. Like, I did not know that they made one this late. Most of the French Foreign Legion films I'm aware of are, like, from the 20s and shit, and they're unwatchable because they're... Basically, there's a point in Hollywood where, like, they made a bunch of crap because people just wanted to see movies. Kind of like what we're doing now. And, it shows. And there's some good from that era. I think there's like one of the comic duos did a thing where they were in the French Foreign Legion. That's particularly good. I think it's Abbott and Costello, maybe. One of the other ones. I don't remember. Laurel and Hardy. I think it was that one. But this fits right in with much of the other movies that I recommend. I don't like many of the movies that other people like, I guess. Some of them I do. Like, it's not entirely true. But, like, there's a lot of these movies that are my absolute favorites. That are just buried and hidden. Like, we could even talk about a bunch of Charlie Bronson movies that never see the light of day anymore. But, like, this thing, I didn't even know it existed. And basically, upon watching this movie once, it joined my, I can't have a top 5 or a top 10, but it's in my top 50 movies. If I made that list, I should make that list. When I make that list, I'll make a video. This is in there with Star Wars and Indiana Jones and shit. This is really, really well made from an era when they really made really good movies. This looks like it was made by an English production company that had access to a lot of England, France, and Morocco and boats and shit. Like, they spent some money making this. It would be cool to find more of these French Foreign Legion films, like I said. It's what I'm going to try to do for my next movie review, I guess. I need to, like, separate these out into, like, series or something and have, like, cards or whatever. Like, for this one, I'm going to have a fucking thing of the poster of the movie. I don't know what I'm going to do for other ones. If you have seen this, tell me what you think about it. If you go watch it because I recommended it, please leave me a comment telling me if you liked it too. Because, like, honestly, it's hard to find shit that, like, touches my soul in a way that this did. Like I said, the last one that did was Wind and the Lion, which I had already known about and kind of kept tucked away. And it was one of those movies I knew I was going to watch at some point, but didn't know when. And then when I watched it, it was like, holy shit. I should have watched that a long time ago. I'm glad I didn't find out about this one until the time I could just watch it. Isn't that nice? When you just stumble across something on YouTube that is magical. That's what I'm trying to share with you now. If you like Forgotten Weapons shit and French rifles at all, you probably dig the French Foreign Legion and you should go watch this movie. I'll see you guys later.